Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It
Force.
is very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
And pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one, welcome all. Welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. Our sponsors for today's show are 101 Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy. All 2 peas in 1 pod. For all your medication needs, check out my little cousin, Shantia McBride, and her lovely team at 101 Pharmacy in Nassau and Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site, 101pharmacy.com. That's 101 Pharmacy, all lowercase, all one word, .com. The 3 locations, East Street South, Charles Sanders Highway, and of course, in downtown Freeport, Explorers Way. You can find whatever you need for your medical needs. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. At BMC, we provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. We are also proud to announce the joint sponsorship of the GBI pilots and the Bimini pilots. These again are 2 peas in 1 pod. They are a contingent of independent marine pilots that are making themselves available to provide marine pilotage to any and all ships. That means any family island, private island owned by the cruise ships or any other entity, wherever you want your ship to come, these guys, they got the ability, they got the know-how, they got the experience, and certainly the certification to pilot your ship. Tonight, we are going to recap some of our outstanding maritime challenges previously covered in previous shows. Our discussions will include, therefore, a hot one that's still going on every day is illegal migration in one form or the next. That is a hot topic item. And I think I dare say for maritime, that's probably the hottest topic item because, you know, these people, for the most part, 90+% migrate by sea. We also have migration not by land but through airports. We know that is happening in our country quite a bit. People fly in and they don't fly out. They get straight, they continue to work, and they fly out whenever they feel like. So we need to talk a little bit about that type of migration as well, because migration, my friend, is migration. We also want to talk about foreigners being employed in our maritime industry. Not only in our maritime industry, but that's what we're going to focus on. You know, they're employed in all the industries in the Bahamas. They're all over the place. All over the place where government say we should have Bahamians only. We got a lot of foreigners. We got to find out what's going on with that, where we are with that. We discussed that a few times, but where exactly are we? Are we getting those immigration laws in place to address people that employ these foreign migrants without the proper status of doing the job that they employ them to do? That is where we need to go. We're going to speak a little bit more about that as we move forward. Carbon credits. The world's largest seagrass meadows is here in the Bahamas. We got the largest banks. We got the largest seagrass meadows, And that being the case, it has been established, or it has been revealed by University of Michigan. And of course, this is the only study that I am aware of that was done on our seagrass meadows as far as how much it values. And according to the University of Michigan, we got enough between our seagrass meadows and our forestry to be able to attain over $150 billion a year. Billion with a B. and I think that the exact figure they quoted was $156 billion every year. The Bahamas, if it was to sell its carbon credits, should be able to gain. Now, there's a lot of things caught up in selling carbon credits because we got price going up, price remaining where it is sometimes, price not being properly established. But that's neither here or there. We could offer half of what the going rate is, and still get, if we get half 150 billion, we still get 75 billion. We could even sell for 50 billion, eh? But the Bahamas need to go there aggressive enough, and find out who are the people that need carbon credits. And it's so easy. We already know some of them are, because some of them are buying carbon credits now from Mexico. Mexico don't have half the seagrass we have, right? So, and actually, I think Mexico is using the forestry. The forestry is only 1 out of 35 times less impacting than the seagrass. So our seagrass, which you call, takes carbon out of the environment 35 times faster than any land forest. When you look at it pound for pound, or acre per acre, or hectare per hectare, according to the studies that I looked at on the World Wide Web. So again, carbon credits, a big topic. We've been covering that now for many shows, and we have yet, because it's still existing and we haven't started to get our carbon, as far as I know, we haven't really gotten the first set of money for selling our carbon credits as yet. Now, I understand we get some money. I don't know how that go, and I ain't trying to get into that, right? But we haven't sold any of our carbon credits yet for money. And there's a lot of reasons why I think that hasn't happened. And then we're going to discuss some of that tonight. So, next topic is going to be like the cruise ship ports at our family islands. We have the only government-owned cruise ship port in this litany of islands and ports in this country. Is what? Prince George Wharf, as we know it is now, Nassau Cruise Port, or some NCP, or Cruise Terminal, whatever it is. That's the only one the government owns. The one in Freeport is owned by the port. And all the others are owned by a cruise ship company. And when I say all of the others, I'm talking about at least 6, 7, almost 8 more of them. Right? So while the Bahamas government owns, and we even ain't own all of that no more, because we done basically partnership with somebody who's getting 49% of that. So we ain't really outrightly own any of them that the government, we used to own that one, right? But we have all these ports on these family islands that could readily be converted to receive cruise ships, especially one like Morgan's Bluff. Come on, that's that one there is what we used to call it back in the day. Say, well, not a no-brainer. Something that you ain't got to put no weight for it. That's a low-hanging fruit sort of thing, right? So why isn't Morgan's Bluff being converted to receive cruise ships? And that's the question we need to ask ourselves, because I'm sure our government would be able to answer that if they'd be honest with us. But I don't know governments to be honest with the people when it comes to that type of thing. Somebody doesn't want it to happen, so it's not happening. Because if the government wants that to happen, that priority could be given to that can readily happen in short order. Do you know what Andros would be like, North Andros, if Morgan's Bluff can now receive even one cruise ship a day? The whole economy would have a shift for the positive. And the amount of things that can be done from Morgan's Bluff alone. And we know, crime there compared to Nassau. Come on. There's no reason why that shouldn't happen. And we got a lot of other ports in the chain of islands that we have in this country. And we could briefly talk about Sandy Point area. That area, Southwest Point, just to the south of Sandy Point, that can be readily refitted. Just like how they're now refitting the one just to the south of, in Freeport area, just the one that Disney, that Carnival is doing. just to the south of the UB, University of Bahamas campus, on the highway that goes to High Rock. That was basically sitting in the middle of nowhere. Now they're developing that to bring in 2 to 3 carnival ships daily. You know how busy that could be? So just like how they could develop that, we could develop one near Southwest Point in Abaco, just to the south of Sandy Point. And you've got deep waters already. Whatever Carnival is doing with that port facility, the government could be doing with this one. Except that the government will own all the buildings that are going to be leased. Because once you put a dock there that could take 2 cruise ships, and they start coming in, some of them would venture into the broader spectrum of Abaco. Some of them would move into Sandy Point for lunch and to have a look around and for a swim and whatnot. But, you know, some of them are just going to go into that port area where they could get some local Bahamian food like crack conch and this and that. And government could actually, that could be like a big fish fry, eh? And anyway, we could talk about this some more. But there are so many opportunities that we as a country are not pursuing. We're sitting back and let the cruise ships build up their own private port, which is not, I have no problem with that. You cannot have too much. We are the biggest place, the closest point to 3 of the largest cruise ship home ports in the entire world. When you talk about Miami, the Port of Miami, Port Everglades, and Port Canaveral, let me tell you something. There's no place else on earth that takes on more cruise ship passengers. And when they take them on, all of them on the East Coast, I ain't talking about Tampa yet, and them side on that side, because the Bahamas close to them too, eh? But those 3, when the cruise ship gets loaded with its passengers, it cannot go anywhere without passing the Bahamas. It have to pass nearby, even if it only pass in Bimini area and Keyside area to get down to South America or Cuba or well, don't go to Cuba at this point, to Cayman Islands or Jamaica or Domrep or one of them. They got to pass us to get them. Guess what? It take them 3 to 4 times longer to get to those ports than they'll take to get to a Bahamian port, right? Because, you know, we got Resort World Bimini right there. Resort World is ready to take on any cruise ship that want to use it. Of course, we got Ocean Key, which is only dealing with their own ships, right? And then we got the litany of cruise ships, like the Disney got a couple ports. Well, they got one, and they got one now being built at the end of Eleuthera at Lighthouse Point. Carnival got numerous. Royal Caribbean got 1 or 2. What's the next one name? NCL, Norwegian Cruise Line, you know. And so we got a litany of them. But there's no reason why in this country, in this day and time, every single major island in this country should not have a cruise ship dock that the government provides, right? So that if they want to come in, they could come in. Because the economy from those ships on any of our island would just shift the whole game of this whole country when it comes to economy. Because a lot of people from those islands are not on those islands. You know, they grow up and then they leave those islands and come to New Providence to find employment. Go to Grand Bahama to find employment. But if those cruise ships can go back there and those places can develop as a cruise ship stop, a whole litany of people will be going back home. They'll be happy to go back home because now they know they can have full employment. They can build their houses or fix up their houses that they already built. And they don't have to be in this hustle and bustle in Nassau with all this crime. A lot of them don't want to be here, you know. They're here because this is the only way they can really engage gainful employment at the level where they could make that amount of money. But if they could go back home and maintain that same salary status, oh, they'll be so happy they'll be gone before the place finish. I tell you that. Tell them Captain Glenn Bain, tell you that if they don't believe you. And last on our list for the night is HMBS Flamingo Catastrophe. We know that HMBS will, next month happens to be the month of May. May 10th happened to be the date that the Cuban MiGs attacked and sank the HMBS Flamingo, and in the process killed a few. Killed 4 Marines. 4 souls went down. Never to be found again. And a little couple dollars is paid out. But we could talk about how much dollars wasn't paid out, because it wasn't fitting for such an event. During peacetime, your life is taken by military attack. That can't be right. And the government of this country, as far as I know, based on research, have not given not one single soul on that flamingo one dime pertaining to what they went through, being under attack by a military air force, which we don't even have. We may have airplanes, we ain't got no air force. We don't carry airplanes that can create attack by firing missiles or not even guns, right? We ain't ready for that kind of thing yet. We're not designed for that type of thing, and we probably never will be. Eh? We're just a little Coast Guard. We call ourselves a defense force, which is what we do. But we are not put out there to deal with a wartime situation, and especially to be under the attack of a warplane. So, under those circumstances, those persons who have suffered such a feat are required to be compensated. And, we're not going to stop until somebody decides we will have to compensate these people and give some compensation. And you all know what I say the compensation is. We'll get back to that later. These are the basic topics that we seek to engage tonight. So you can be advised that we are locked and loaded with information as always. So please stay tuned as we unload this litany of details surrounding these timely topics. I take this opportunity to give a shout out to my number one fan, Auntie May. Oh yes, all the way up there in Freeport, Grand Bahama. Auntie May is now 91 years old and going stronger. She's going to go to 92, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 100. I can't promise you much after 100, Auntie May, but once you reach 100, then we know you could be ready to bow out when you're ready. But we looking for you to keep us we looking for you to stay our number one fan, at least until you get 100. And then after that, maybe another 10 years, maybe another 20, who knows. But we'll take whatever we could get. So Annie Mae up in Freeport with her 4 lovely daughters, they take good care of her. Yeah, she's now still by Venice. She's going back to Lorraine soon. But she's still by Venice, and Venice had promised me, and I think she's now making sure she don't wake up Annie Mae 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning no more talking about Mommy come have breakfast. No, you don't give Mommy no breakfast until Mommy wake up 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. That's how we rolling with Annie Mae. So I thank all of those lovely daughters for taking care of my number one fan. So again, kudos to Annie Mae up there in Freeport. And to our listening audience out there, I take pleasure in introducing you to the man behind the controls tonight, our wonderful producer. So I say, ladies and gentlemen, I reserve no hesitation in presenting to you tonight the insatiable, the man of the hour, the man with all the power. He is fully capable and able, the one and only Mr. Craig Gibson. Yes! And Mr. Gibson gives that maritime salute. And I say maritime salute because that ain't no police salute. That's a naval salute. He get it right. I think he'll be showing little tricks when he was here. But boy, he's learned good because he got that down pack. He looked like he'd been in defense force for 20 years. Hey, Craig is a mess. All right, that's my good producer, Craig, and he keeps me on cue. You're listening to Maritime Matters, people. On this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs weekly at 17:05. That's 5:05 p.m. And how we get to 17? After 12 comes what? 13. So you got 1200 or 12 o'clock. Then you get 1300 will be 1 o'clock. 1400, 2 o'clock. So we come straight up to 1700 because 12 and 5 is 17. So 17:05 means 5:05 p.m. And that's how we do this, ladies and gentlemen. This is a maritime show. We deal with maritime time. We also deal with military time. That's how we roll. So every Tuesday at 17:05 here on Love 97. The primary purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to the maritime field in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and the international feeds. And tonight, we're going to recap a lot of domestic stuff. We want to see things happen that haven't been happening. We're going to call it out, and we call it out again and again and again until we start seeing some things moving, eh? Halfway through the show, well, you can start anytime now. We're already halfway through, almost. Well, not quite, right? We'll open the phone lines. The number to call will be 326-8255. So if you want to call in on the show as you drive by, or as you sit home relaxing, or you all who wake nights, if you did, man, look here, call us at any time during the show, 326-8255. We will certainly appreciate your contribution. We're talking maritime, people. You are listening to Maritime Matters. At this point, we move to our first break, and when we return, we will engage tonight's maritime discussion. Listen, don't you dare touch that dial. You do not want to miss the rest of this show. Thank you very much.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You are tuned in to Maritime Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. As promised, we're going to recap on our outstanding maritime challenges previously covered in our shows gone by, eh? And it's so many of them. I just picked out a couple. And this is not even half of them, eh? So next week we probably go a little further with it, but we'll also introduce some of our international items because there's a lot going on. You know, they're still talking about that Baltimore Bridge in the feeds. They're talking a lot about what ships are doing to convert their engines so that they don't use any more fossil fuel, thereby not producing any carbon that they'll have to pay for after 2040. After 2040, any carbon they produce, they'll have to pay so much money per ton. So they're trying to get away from that, and they're now converting, not only because they don't want to pay, but also because we need to save the earth, eh? And when we get to our carbon credits, we'll talk about all of how we propose that we're going to save the earth. I don't know how much of that we can get in tonight, but we'll see. Now the number to call again, 328-8255. That's it. 326-8255. You can call at any time and make your contribution. If you have any questions to ask, if you only want to say, hey, Captain Bain, what's happening, you can do that too. We all game. This program is really about information sharing. I'm going to spit out as much as I can spit out. You can assist by spitting out some other stuff along with that, so long as we keep it accurate and well, you know how we roll. Okay, so the illegal migration situation. You know, there's a song that used to say, they come in by boat, they come in by train, they come in wheelchair, and even with cane. Well, all we can say is the Bahamas in the middle of the ocean, Atlantic Ocean. And we got them coming by boat, and we also got them coming by plane. And they don't only come from the south, the country we know as Haiti. No, they're coming from all over the place because they're doing all kind of different employment in this country. We got those that come by plane and they take on, the more lucrative jobs. You got a lot of engineers coming in, and some of them coming in because we don't have Bahamian certified engineers enough to fill all the billets that are required, right? And then we got some engineers coming in to do jobs that even don't require certified engineers, like mail boats and whatnot. They don't go. A lot of them don't go international, so they don't need certified engineers. But certainly they need engineers. And like the vessels that go international, they need somebody who really knows how to address engineering on board their ship. Now, when is the Bahamas going to get to the stage where engineers on board vessels are readily available? Because we got Bahamians that we've been sending off to do engineering training. We got engineering institutions here, and we do have a big one here, LJM University, or LJM Maritime Academy on our Arcadia. They have numerous engineering programs that Bahamian can engage. But you know what happens, dear listener? Let me tell you what has happened. The owner of a particular vessel needs to crew his vessel. And in crewing his vessel, he's looking to save money. And so, if he could bring in a Ukrainian that is fully certified and really knows how to deal with an engine room, and pay that Ukrainian $2,500 a month, just using a figure there, because that Ukrainian making $2,500 a month, it's comfortable when he get home with that kind of salary, yeah? And that's an engineering rating. That's not, I'm not talking about the chief engineer and the second engineer. I'm talking about the wiper and the oil and that type of thing. They come in there, and that's the kind of money they prepare to. Now, when you're talking about a chief engineer, and most chief engineers come in from outside of the country, yeah? And they making anywhere between $4,000 and $5,000 a month. Now, the argument could be, and could be very accurate, if we told that, we can't find no Bahamian engineer who can handle this engine room. But we got to look at what's the reason. I don't think Ukrainians are smarter than Bahamians. I don't think Filipinos are smarter than Bahamians. But you know what they did? In their country, they set up programs. Their government set up programs where they would, any of their citizen wanting to get into engineering, they come in free. And they get all the training. And then they export those engineers to the world. Like the Bahamas. So we got BTVI. We got University of the Bahamas. We have LJM Maritime Institution. And then there are other little numerous certification entities that can provide such training. But is the government prepared to seek out and train or provide the funding for Bahamians to train at these institutions to become certified engineers? And when I say the government, I'm not talking about the office of the Prime Minister and the cabinet and the Minister of Transport. Well, the Minister of Transport will certainly have a part to play, because the Minister of Transport is responsible for the Bahamas Maritime Authority, which has in their laws, have in their regulations, have in the Bahamas Authority Act, a section that states the functions of this authority. And one of those functions, I think it's number 4 or number 5, says that one of the obligations of the authority is to create and expand opportunities for Bahamian employment in the maritime industry. And I'm not reading it verbatim, but I didn't read it so much time, it sounds something like that, right? To create and expand opportunities for Bahamians in the maritime industry. And there are two sides to the ship. You got the deck side and the engine side. And this spills into the defense force as well, eh? Because the defense force, did a dandy, a super job when it come to deck side. They got all kind of navigators. They got all kind of people who can be captains of vessels and this and that. They ain't really certified, right? But I know they could do it because I used to do it. And then only after I learned what certification was all about, after I got out of the Defense Force, I went and I got certified. But it wasn't hard because I was doing it all along and I learned all that stuff when I was at Dartmouth. So it wasn't no big problem, right? But not to knock the Defense Force per se. But what I'm saying is, the Defense Force did not do the same thing with the engineering side. Eh? They got all kind of deck officers going to that. They never sent an engineering officer to Dartmouth. And I see it as a big flaw. And I don't want to dwell on that because right now we're just talking about, we really talking about illegal migration, right? Defense Force only have Bahamians. So we ain't want to dwell on that. But what I'm saying is, we need to find a way for the BMA to ensure that opportunities in the engineering field for Bahamians are created and can be expanded, just like they do in the Philippines, just like they do in Ukraine, just like they do in India, just like they do in all these maritime countries that feed the internet, because we should have Bahamians doing international jobs on ships. These countries ain't no smarter than us. And we have had Bahamians who've done it and proven that they could do it. But the entity responsible for making sure or providing and try encouraging Bahamians to become engineer, and you got to go back to high schools, you know. You don't just put on a course and say we got to. No, you go into the high schools and you let the students know. Look here, you who are smart in physics and maths, we need you to become engineers. We will pay all the money for you to become a chief engineer. We got programs in Canada, we got programs in the US, we got programs in the UK, we got programs at LJM, we got programs all over the place. All you got to do is say you want to be an engineer and you get maths and physics with C and above on your BGCSE, we will give you a free ride. And as a matter of fact, the Defense Force itself, since they need so many engineers because they have so many ships, and then, Defense Force got plenty of work to do with the engineering side of things. They need to start going back to high school like how I was solicited when I was on assembly in high school by Mr. William Spinley, who was the very first Commodore who was forming a Defense Force. He came to school, he said, we are looking for a few men to send off to Dartmouth. We need you to have 5 GCEs O levels with C and above, including maths and English. And that's what caused me to do what I did in school, because I would come to school with probably 2 or 3. But I go on back, I repeat it, go on back to school, say, well, I got to go make sure I get maths and English with C and above, because I need to go to England. That was my only ticket out. And guess what? It happened. And I was one of many that was, I wouldn't say coerced, but certainly encouraged to join the Defense Force because they would send you to England to train as an officer once you give them what they want as far as certification, coming out of high school or holding on to those BGCSEs or what we used to call back then O-levels or GCEs, right? And you got students in school now who would be more than prepared, and I'm talking about government schools, not only private schools, government schools too, right? Where students would be prepared to take the sacrifice or make the sacrifice and study their head off because they want to get that scholarship to go off to become an engineer. And if they could be advised of where these engineers would be able to go once they are certified, how much money they can make, because I can tell you, we have very few Bahamians who became engineers in a formal setting. And we got Theo Devaney is one. And he's been in the system, and then he was out of the system, and ever since he was out, he was so busy. The boy don't want to be home. He traveling all the time, just inspecting ship after ship after ship after ship. And then we had out of Cal Maritime. Nah, see, I on the show, and I what my boy name now? Ivan. I can tell you in a minute. Anyway, Ivan went to Cal Maritime. He did engineering. He finished. He was in China for the longest. Then he went to the U.S. and then he went back to China and then and he's working at dockyards and instructing how ships should be built and the amount of money this boy making now, it's almost ridiculous. But again, that started because the BMA had a program where they were sending people off to Cal Maritime on a full scholarship. And if the BMA didn't have that program in place, Ivan would not have been able to afford to go to Cal Maritime and do what he did to attain what he actually attained. So I can say to you that if the BMA was to do what they are enacted to do, which is provide and expand opportunities for Bahamians in the maritime sectors, those mail boats would have no need to say they have to have a foreigner there. Mind you, to pay the Bahamian will cost them a couple dollars more, you know. Plus, they have ratings on these mail boats that even if certified don't require to have no certification because they could pay them less. And they're getting away with it. And plus, they know that when these people come in to work on their vessels, these people ain't gonna have no home to go to. So when the vessel is at Porter's Key or Nassau or whatever, they got security because the fellas live on the boat. If they were Bahamians, they'd be going home to their wife or their mommy or whatever, it depends on the situation. And they would have to pay for security to be on the boat, eh? Well, that's how it works. Unless, of course, they get into the real maritime engagement where even if you're home, you have a watch to do, like we do on the Defense Force. You can't leave the boat bare. You have a watch to do, and you got to be on board during the time of your watch. Now, you could go and do what you want to do outside the time of your watch, but while that boat is in port, you got to be there to do your watch, because people, the crew got to take care of the ship, eh? That's how it works in the real world. Anyway, I'm running on, and nobody calling. So I guess y'all like my running on. I can run on until y'all call. Now, we talk about illegal migration as far as those coming in by plane. And we say we got people employed in those wealthy areas that we know of, doing housekeeping, doing maid work, doing babysitting. Because the people that hired them don't care to have Bahamians doing those jobs. You could tell me in this day and time, all of those things that are being offered by BTVI, and I don't know if they changed the name, but that's what I know them as. All those things that are being offered by BTVI, they can't offer a professional maid course, a professional housekeeper's course. I'm sure they can. And these people could be certified to do those things. We have how much tons of hotels, eh? And the hotels don't bring in foreigners to do maid service. They don't bring in people to do babysitting for people in the hotel who need their babysitting while the parents go out. No. They use Bahamians. So why is it that these wealthy area peoples don't use Bahamians? Because they are getting away with it. They're getting away with it. And while they say that some of these areas are reserved for Bahamian nationals only, the immigration department is still giving out work permit for these people to do these things. Well, maybe I should say they're giving out work permit to these people. I don't think to do these things, because I don't think that the immigration department can give out work permit for an area that the government made policy to say these are reserved for Bahamian nationals only. So I don't even think these people have the proper work permit to be doing what they're doing. But who's doing the enforcement? Who's following up on it? What's going on? And those are the ones, of course, that we know that comes in and end up doing what I would refer to as illegal migration, eh? And then, of course, we got our brothers and sisters from Haiti, most of which comes in by boat. Now, we do have a lot of them coming by planes. Don't fool yourself. They have flights going in and out of Haiti. And if you check those flights going in and out of Haiti, if you check them, and I remember one time we got swing, you know. I was on the defense force, and then I ended up to the port department and Tamago shipping. And then when I got to the BMA, I was responsible for port state inspections. And so I had an affiliation with the Coast Guard, whereby I went and I worked with the Coast Guard for 6 months in Miami, yeah? And they trained me how to really inspect cruise ships and inspect small boats and going through the Solus and the Marpole and then putting things together. And then it wasn't totally new to me, but it was something that I didn't have a working knowledge of. So after I finished with them, I was good to go. So the relationship stemmed into them calling on me one time to say, look, Captain Bain, we are calling a meeting at our Maritime Safety Office in Miami, and we want to address migration by Haitians, right? And we have invited you, we have invited your Director of Immigration, and we have invited your Commodore of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. And we hope they show up. And we hope you show up because, you know, it's a meeting that we feel like we need to have. And I went over. Couldn't wait. And lo and behold, the Director of Immigration did not show up. The Commodore of the Defense Force did not show up. And I'm not going to call their names to say who they were back then. Right? But they didn't show up to the meeting. And what was discussed in that meeting? In that meeting, it was explained to me that the Haitians coming up by those freighters, you know, they had the Haitian sloops, and then they started to get the little freighters with engines, but they didn't have rely on sail no more, but they were still like Haitian built. And they told me straight and plain, if you check any of those vessels when they're coming up, and my mind went right back on when I used to do what they call Haitian patrol. We used to go in Exuma chains down by Novitas Light and Coakley Key and what the next key name, where all them used to be coming through when they come up the Ragged Island chain, and then they come through to get on the sandbars on the western side of Exuma to come up to Harvey Key and them and keep coming up. We used to board like 6 to 8 Haitian sloops every day. You know, they told me, say, when you board them, you will notice that they always have no more than 12 passengers. Because they know if they have more than 12 passengers, their vessel will be deemed a passenger vessel, and they wouldn't be able to meet the requirements for passenger vessels. So they make sure they only have like 12. And we would go on those vessels religiously, and they would always have 12 passengers. And they would all have nice passports, spanking new passports. And they would all be basically say, well, be straight, be clear, we could be on this vessel. And we used to let them in, let them up. The only boats we used to stop are the ones that used to have the 70 and 80 people. And they ain't get no passport, they even ain't get water and food on the boat, right? But these are what, couple $2 more. They come and cruising through on the freight boats, what actually carrying freight. They got the coal and the plantains and all them things down in the hole. And they'd be good because they're making money of these 12 people and of the freight, right? And the U.S. Coast Guard told me in that meeting, say there'll always be 12 plus the crew. See, and how we used to know who's the crew? We used to tell them we need you to go and anchor. And the ones who you see move to anchor that vessel, it's only about 3 of them. Those who you see move, then you know they're the crew. Because the ones who just paid to take a ride as a passenger, they're not going to be a part of doing anything on board. And they told me that what we also notice is whenever those same vessels are going back with all the jugs and stuff on top of them, all over them, they're going back because they already been to in Miami River, and those people don't get drop off somewhere. Sometimes they come to Nassau Harbor and then they go back from there. But you only see the crew on board, just the 3 people. You'll never see more than those 3 people heading back to Haiti. So if we bought 8 of them in one day, and that's 12 people on each one. Let me see if my math's good. 12, 8, is it 96? 84, 7, 96. So in that one day, 96 migrants came to the Bahamas. And when those boats were going back, it was none. So if we get 96 in one day, let's just say, okay, let's call it 5 boats a day. Right? Which means you have less than 96. You'll have 5 times 12, which is what, 60? That's even 50 a day. 50 a day. How much days we get in a year? 365 times 50 times 10, that's 3,500. So people were coming in here by the dray load, but coming on those freighters 12 a time. And we wasn't paying no real attention because once they had passport, we had to let them through. So the smuggling, and they explained to me that this is how they now doing the smuggling, right? They ain't taking those big risks no more. They only get sloop sails now. They got boats with engine because they were also using those boats to go in and out of Miami. And the Coast Guard was able to point that out to me, and it was so disappointing that the Director of Immigration and the Commodore of Defense Force were not in that meeting because we never get to really discuss this any further. And I don't know what happened after that. But it was clear to me that, and this would have been in like 2002, 2003, around that time, that we were having migration, people migrating in and out of our country, not out, in our country, on a consistent, ongoing basis, and the numbers just improving. So that dreadful sea voyage that we talk about, where you used to have just a bunch of people on a sloop with no food and no water, and then they gotta survive. And when they say survive, they eat 1 or 2 pieces of somebody to keep living, right? And then they eventually make landfall, and then they wake their way into the shanty towns. Because now when they get into the shanty town, they're safe. Because nobody can go in the shanty towns trying to figure out who knew, right? Who came here yesterday? Who came here? No. Ain't nobody going in them shanty towns. Those shanty towns take care of people. And I don't blame them. If we had been in shanty towns, someone was trying to escape this town, I would hope that they'll take care of us too. But the shanty towns will take care of them until such time as, they good and comfortable enough to go out there, speak little English, do little work, and they keep moving on. Send money home, yada, yada, yada. So, the Bahamas played a big part in assisting those in need from Haiti in moving forward in life, right? And I'm proud of that. I like to know that we're helping our brothers and sisters however we could. But of course, there's some detriment to that as well that is starting to catch up with us. And I'm sure you, the listening audience, would know about those detriments because we see it every day, right? So what we need to do now is we need our authorities to play their role. And what is their role? Their role would be, dear listener, to ensure that even if the migrants reach the Bahamas, it will be difficult for them to settle in because only so much we can handle. We're a small country. Our economy isn't big we might be big for the Caribbean when you talk about other English-speaking countries, but we're not big enough to handle Nassau, the Bahamas, and Haiti, right? So as they come in, our economy tightens up on us. And we're not only concerned about the economy, but we're concerned about when the Haitians get here and they settle and they start having kids, his kids go to school, and then those kids become competition for our kids, right? And that's a competition that really our kids didn't deserve. Why should you in your country have to compete with others who shouldn't have been there, right? So what we need to do from the authority perspective is to ensure that even if they come here and they can survive, which is fine, we don't want them to violate our laws when it comes to employment. Employment in certain areas should be reserved for Bahamians, and the government has a policy stating that. And the enforcement should be in place to ensure that Bahamians only are working in those areas. Because if the foreigners are allowed to work in those areas, the employers may prefer to use the foreigners or the non-Bahamians, because they could pay them less and they probably get a little more out of them, right? Because they could take advantage of them a little better too. So what our authorities need to do is make sure that these employers are dealt with when they take on non-Bahamians in these areas where they shouldn't have non-Bahamians. I say put them in jail for 1 day. Some people say, well, that might not be enough. Why? But I say 1 day will be enough, because if I'm an employer, and I employ, and by employing a non-Bahamian, I'm faced in court with going to jail for 1 day. I don't want to go to jail for 1 day. I don't want to go to jail for 1 hour. So you know what I can do? I can make sure I can be among them said who got to go in jail for 1 day. And I am not going to take on no non-Bahamians in those areas. And I am going to make sure the whole country would then be forced to ensure that they assist Bahamians, and Bahamians have the training that is needed to be employed in all of those areas, because they wouldn't have the option to use a non-Bahamian. And if that happens, then the non-Bahamian would realize that, boy, you know what? I can't send no money home, because I mean, the employers even employed me here. I can't even get a job here. And they can seek employment elsewhere, so they will now continue their migration to somewhere else. And I don't know where it is, but I know one thing. It could be bigger than the Bahamas, and they may be able to work and get some money. So we wouldn't have to put them in shantytown. I mean, not shantytown, in detention center. We wouldn't have to put them in jail. We wouldn't have to repatriate them by spending all this money for them to go on the plane and go back home. We ain't going to spend them, we ain't going to be caught up in that. Because they themselves would be looking and trying to get out of here without our help. Because if they can't work and send money home, they don't want to be here. What they can be here for? You think they like being around us? They don't really like being around us. They'd rather be home, you know. If they could make the amount of money home that they make it, you will never see them in the Bahamas. They don't care to be here, and I don't blame them. But they want that money. And if they could just go and work without anybody hindering them or stopping them or locking up the employer, and it ain't about them. It's about the employer. The Immigration Act don't even have provisions to penalize the employer. It just said the employer shouldn't employ them. It didn't say what can happen if they do. And this is why in one of my previous shows I was saying the cabinet needs to table in the House of Assembly a bill to impose penalty on any employer that hires an undocumented employee. In other words, if the person is not a Bahamian citizen and they don't have a document from immigration saying that they could engage in employment in that specific area, then of course they should not be employed. And if they employ them, they can get that 1 day in jail. And that's all we say, right? And so we got the foreigners in maritime, we got the foreigners in non-maritime areas, and we talk about the private islands. The cruise ship own various private islands, and those private islands have employment where the cruise ships try to use their own people that they already have on their payroll to work on those keys. And if they could keep all Bahamians out and have the foreigners doing everything on those keys, Bahamians wouldn't even be there. Because they got foreigners as cooks, cooking for the staff. They got foreigners as chefs, cooking for the guests. They got foreigners just cleaning the yard and painting buildings and you know they got their cruise ship crew doing a whole heap of things on those private islands that has no work permit to do those things. And you know that by way of them doing that, they're keeping Bahamians out of work. Because Bahamians should be coming in to do those things on a daily basis. To build any little building they need. Even as far as jet skis and non-motorized equipment for the guests to go out and have fun. The cruise ships owning these things and getting them registered from the port department. They don't only own them, you know. They actually have them registered. And we know that that's wrong because the transportation industry is reserved for Bahamians. So anybody providing jet ski services on any of those private islands should be Bahamians. Anybody working around those non-motorized equipment should be Bahamians. So, again, I can run and rave till they tired of hearing me, and then I can run and rave some more. Because these things need to be fixed. The mailboat, same thing. Let's get some Bahamians on those mailboats. The coastal tankers in this Bahamas that got a lot of foreigners. Mind you, they mostly got they got some foreign captains, but they also got foreigners, engineers, which they need to be certified. And we don't have many Bahamians certified engineers. But if they catch enough hell to realize that we're not going to give you any work permit for this unless you have Bahamians under training, then they would start doing what they were doing for all those Bahamian captains back in the day, sending them off to school to certify, paying for them. And you take it with your salary later, who knows? But the bottom line is, you wouldn't have the luxury to ignore the situation no more. You'll now be seeking out Bahamians who are suitably qualified, and you will be prepared to pay for them to go and get certified so that your vessel could continue to have the certification it requires. And that's what I was pushing for back then, and that's what you started to do back then, but I think everything going lapse again, and everybody just doing their own thing, eh? And that's the way it works, you know. No enforcement, what happens? Everybody just do what they want to do. So, we talk about the illegal migration, that dreadful sea voyage, the shantytown facilitation, and the employment opportunities. Now we talk about the foreigners and maritime who working on some of these coastal tankers, on the mailboats, on the private islands, with the water sport equipment, and even serving as port facility security officers. These private islands are required to have what you call ISPS, International Ship and Port Facility Security Services, set up like the code require, which falls under the SOLAS Convention. It requires worldwide. And they have it, you know. But they have foreigners working in those areas. And we got a Bahamian entity certifying them to say they're okay. But yet they violate our Immigration Act. Because they cannot get work permit as a foreigner to be a PFSO or to be a security officer. Because we have Bahamians who could do that. Plus, that's a government area reserve for Bahamians, so we need to get that right. Again, if you want in on this discussion, the number to call is 326-8255. We'll be happy to take your call and hear what you have to say about these illegal migration and foreigners in maritime employment areas. And now we're going to move to our carbon credits. And then, of course, we can talk about our cruise ship ports. And if time permits, and I don't see how it could permit, but it might, we'll then go on to start our discussion on the HMBS Flamingo catastrophe, eh? So at this point, we're going to just take our second break. And when we return, stand by, we're going to move on to the big topic, carbon credits. Thank you very much.
Stop by your longtime favorite men's clothing store, KS Moses. Discover our new arrivals. Our spring collection includes men and boys suits, shirts, and ties. Great new selection of dress and casual shoes, fancy cotton and linen bush jackets, linen sets, dressy casual outfits, including chinos and blazers for the weekend. KS Moses also offers formal wear and classic styles in tuxedos for that special wedding day or formal event. We're here to serve you Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Conveniently located Collins Avenue and Fifth Terrace, next to Roberts Furniture. KS Moses, for the best in men's clothing.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. I'm sitting on the
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Maritime Matters. On this show, we talk maritime. I am Captain Glenn Bain, and we just finished covering all the illegal migration matters, the foreigners that are employed in the maritime industry. We're going to move into our carbon credits, but we got a call on the line. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Hello, sir.
Captain Bain, how you doing?
I am in top shape and getting better, my friend. How are you?
Wonderful, man. This is the first time I ever hear, man. Everyone that you asked to do something, you found me, man. She was a bright light in the dark.
Yeah, man. You know, we this show is trying to address some things that needs to fix. We got a lot of things need to fix, but you know, this in the maritime
industry. Things we spoke about that some kind of subconsciously could contribute to all this murder crime.
Indeed, it does. Indeed, it does. And we need to take it in hand. We need to make sure our officials and our authorities, you know, do their job, because it's all written for them to do. You know, they just don't do it.
Well, everybody right now, I see you asked me to do this. The first time I just stumbled on you this afternoon, but your job is, you know, to bring the awareness. See, they know, the officials know.
They know, but as long as we sit back, they'll leave it.
Who don't know? And you checking.
They ain't checking, and as long as we sit back and don't bring it up to their attention, they'll be happy to leave it alone. But we got to put pressure on them. We got to keep pressure on them.
You're doing a marvelous job, my brother, and God bless you. And, you know, one thing I like with the payment, you know, I always tell people who's a payment. Payment is an individual take nothing and makes up and 10 million the profit, whereby the other people, the government, everybody benefit.
That's right.
The very conch salad, the very junk food, the very everything we do in this country, we did this, you know, legislation come up. If some countries have legislation, we do that.
Yeah. And not only that, we got the capacity to do anything. These foreigners coming in here doing things. We could do these things, but it's just that the government is allowing some people to have their way, you see?
Well, you see, we got a in 2 years. Non-stop, and with too much to go with that.
That's right.
Right. Keep it right up.
Well, thank you for the call, my friend. Yeah. Thank you for the encouragement, man, and you take care of yourself.
Listen, you use the bright light in the dark. I tell you the truth, because every day is one of what a lot of these, so to speak, you know, folks who be on the radio talk to. You know, it's beyond, because sometimes, you know, they have to really want to benefit in it.
Yeah, no, man. We be able to do anything that's required. We just need the stage to be set for us to soar. You know.
Well, you on the radio, and thank you, Jones Corporation for having me on the radio.
Absolutely.
And you ain't scared.
I ain't never scared, brother. I ain't never scared.
No. That's what it is, man. We go before we speak to some of this stuff. You know that.
Thank you very much. Okay, but appreciate the call, man, and you continue to take care and continue to listen, and we on every Tuesday night from 5 to 6:30.
Well, you know, I on the property I and you know,
wonderful.
You live, okay, I can manage.
Thank you very much, man. Take care.
Great job, man. All right?
That's me. Yes, sir. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that caller. We got another caller on the line. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, caller, you're on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hey, listen, bro. I moved, man. I moved. I tell you where I moved to in a minute.
But I tried to figure out where you was all night, man. I was starting to think nobody listened to the show again. Huh?
I was there listening because guess what? I wanted to know what time it is. You know what I mean? Because hey, Minister Clay Sweeten is doing his work, and these guys don't want to like come under compliance how they can move. And I mean, you gotta move stealthy. When you moving to move out a situation in the Bahamas that ain't supposed to be here, you can't be going in there with your uniform and your big banner, you know what I mean, and your horn and your car bells and everything because everybody know that you're coming.
Yeah, but see, Minister Clay Sweeting is doing an extremely something that has never been done. Something that has never been done in the history of our country.
Yes, but then you got some people who feel they're bigger than the law. They must be on somebody's payroll.
No, but it doesn't matter.
Listen to me.
The thing is, he has been doing
things. Must be on somebody's payroll. If they do want to go stealthy, you got to go stealthy. You know that bomber what America got that is stealthy? You don't know until it's on you?
Yeah, but one more thing we need to do, though. In assisting Minister Sweeting, we need the immigration minister and officers to and all the other cabinet members, they need to put the whip on so they could put in the Employment Act that anybody who employs
we understand all that
illegal somebody without that is undocumented, that they can get jail for at least 1 day, man.
But the ones that are here that we want to get out of here, who we need to take out of here forcefully, you can't let them know you're coming.
No, but we don't need to move none. They can move themselves if we stop them from moving, eh?
We don't need to let them know we're coming because they will run.
We care if they run because once an employer cannot employ them, they can find their own way out.
Well, I want to catch them and get them out of here.
I don't want to catch nobody. I don't want to catch nobody. I don't want to chase nobody.
To connect with another cell.
No, man. The one I want to catch is the one who employing them. I want to catch the employer. I want to see some of them go to jail. Then we ain't got to worry about that no more because if these people can't work, they will find their own way out, my friend. And I want you to know that.
All right, good. And man, good. You know what I mean? This is a good show. You know what I mean? And guess what?
Thank you very much.
I want to put my 5 and 6 cents in it.
Yeah, man. Your contribution is always welcome, and you always get good contributions to make.
Because
so
you know what we talk about, man. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
We need to be stealthy. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We need to move and be there, and you don't know why you are.
Thank you very much. Well, we need to move on the employers, though. Let's catch some of them.
Well, we need to move the people in the office on the employers because paperwork has to be produced on these type of people.
Yeah, but you need to make law. You need to make law. If you don't have law to deal with the employer, then you can't touch him. You could catch him, but you can't do nothing with him. You need law to say if you are found employing these people, you go to jail or you got to pay this big $100,000 fine or whatever the case may be. But I want jail in it too, man. You got to keep that jail so they can know be serious.
Yeah, but you know, with the whole thing about it, right? Haiti is a rich country.
Haiti is not a rich country.
This guy called Ruby George, whoever it is, and in the Bahamas,
we don't like to do no name calling. No. We don't like to do no name calling on the show.
Okay, well, there's a consultant And he mean he want to big himself up. And he mean he need to go back home to go find out the people who is plundering his country.
No, that consultant could do. That consultant could do whatever he wants to do.
People who's in power in America is plundering his country.
Yeah, but
everyone in Haiti isn't poor. Everyone in Haiti isn't grabbing for food. Everyone in Haiti isn't a part of the gang.
Yeah, but the majority of them are being taken advantage of. My thing is, we can take so much, but we need to have laws to protect us, right? And these people can find their way to the north. You know, I want you to know they could find means, and a lot of them end up going to the north. I have no problem with them leaving Haiti, and I have no problem with some of them coming here. But my problem is we cannot allow ourselves to become overwhelmed because we're so close. I mean, look, they passed Cuba. They passed Jamaica. Jamaica and Cuba closer than us, you know.
Yeah.
But the reality is they want to come and take over your jobs, right? And tighten up your economy. So what we got to do is we got to protect against that. And I don't care who the consultant is or who this one is or who that one is. The people we have in power, they are the ministers, and all those acts, the Immigration Act and all the rest of them, speak to the minister could do this, and the minister should do that. So the Minister of Immigration is supposed to ensure that his department is enforcing those immigration laws. Now, if we don't have no immigration laws, say the employer can get locked up if he violate that by employing illegal or undocumented employees, then the immigration officers could do, because the court can't even do nothing. You got to put in the law first. But if we serious, we will get it in the law tomorrow.
Good. Let me shift the subject a little bit. I heard the words coming out the mouth of the leader of our country about the sovereign wealth fund, that we don't need money in our pockets. We need money to take care of the Bahamas. So what happens to Bahama Rock?
Bahama Rock.
Hold up, let me talk to you.
Go ahead.
What happens to Bahama Rock that is taking billions of dollars a rock out of this country every couple of days, every year?
Yeah, but you
what happens to the folks that are stealing our sand and taking it out of the country all the time? What happens to the people that are put here, or the country has like PTC and the rest of them, who is completely like dismantling and controlling our people? I mean, to a point where we feel like we are poor, and now we got BPL going in that same direction, and the rest of everything in the same direction. What is going on? What do we need to do in order to bring ourselves steady? Because guess what? We cannot be a rocky ship in this time because everybody need our lunch. What do you say?
I tell you, we need Bahama Rock and all of those other entities that are known as foreign investors in our country. We need them here. Now, if you feel like they're making so much money off sending sand and whatever out of the country, then why don't you get together with a couple fellas like me and start our own Bahama Rock company to make money too? There ain't nobody stopping us from making money. You point fingers at them. They're business people, and I don't. You can't blame them for what they do. But who's stopping you from doing it?
Okay, good. I understand that.
Who's stopping you from doing it? And the thing about it is, you saying that they're making billions of dollars. I have nothing to convince me that they making even millions of dollars, because the amount of money they spend to do what they do it, right? I mean, I don't know if you have any idea how much money it costs for these equipment and these they make. I hope they're making money, because I don't want them stopped, right? I don't want them stopped because they're employing Bahamians.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to walk on. I didn't mean to walk there.
No, we need to have facts. Now, when you get some facts, when you get some facts about any entity in this country that are foreign investors, then you can bring
money. I'm making the money from that.
Yeah, but you need to bring the facts, though. You can't just blaspheme. You can't just throw things out there and you can't back it up, because now you're causing me getting problems.
I can back it up, but I ain't one of them who making money from that.
You ain't got to make money from somebody to back up what you're saying.
Good. I ain't making the money from that.
Yeah, but it's so easy to say things that are inaccurate, though.
No, but see, I am ISPS certified.
That have nothing to do with being accurate. You got to be accurate.
See, I have time, so I'm sorry. I said I back it up.
All right.
I pull back. You
Yeah,
understand what I said?
I with you. But let's make sure when we say things like that,
But they doing that.
we don't know
I
that.
like it. And I know you don't like it either.
If they doing that, I happy, but I don't know that they doing what you say. I don't believe they doing what you say because they would have so much companies in there like them now. If they were making billions and all, you think they would have been the only company doing that? Come on, man, let's think about these things.
Good.
I had a former employee. Listen.
The former prime ministers and former members of parliament that are involved in this operation. These are the crooks.
Yeah, but you saying that they're involved, do you have facts to back up?
Yes,
Yeah, it's easy to say things, right? But do you have a document showing that they're part of these entities?
Listen to me carefully.
No, man, I can't just listen now. You can't just come out here talking things which you can't back up.
Everything good, dude. I know how to
but you shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be doing that. You're my boy, but you can't do that.
Let me back a little bit. I mean, even though
back plenty bit.
I said, even though you're my friend, let me back a little bit. You see, I want back. I mean, to let some things flow.
All right.
But
you back. Now let's get back to our carbon credits. Me and you could agree on some things to that.
No, but then with the carbon credits, the man say the other day that we got to do things in order to produce these things to sell to different countries and whatnot.
Yeah, but we have to do things, but we need to do it. We seem to be doing what we're supposed to be doing, though.
Why?
Because what we're supposed to be doing is first of all, right? Your country has over $100 billion a year that you could attain if you can sell your carbon credits, right? You can get over $100 billion a year. Now, how do you sell carbon credits? First of all, you got to get them verified, right? And you come as far as getting a company in here to map out your carbon credits, right? We had a company come, you know the company Beneath the Waves or whatever they name. They hook up the sharks with the equipment because they know that the sharks feed on the seagrass meadows areas, and they hook up a couple of sharks, and they actually then map out that this country has some 96 million or billion square acres of carbon sea meadow or seagrass meadows, right? Yeah. And they say if we can get that verified, now we can offer that to those big companies who gonna be producing all this carbon and they can't stop before 2040, and they could be looking for places where they could trade off to say, well, we could put so much carbon in there, but the Bahamas is taking so much out of there, so they could sell us some of the credits. But what we need to do is we need to form an entity like we do for everything else, form an authority to go out there and make sure that we get this thing, it already map out, that we get it verified, because you get companies that verify what you have in your country. And then you could start saying, we have this amount, it's verified, and we can sell it. So people who need it can now buy it from you, but we ain't get to that stage yet.
Okay, good. No problem. Everything good, man.
Right? And when we get to that stage,
is the Bahamas is a place full things that we have here, we can't touch, because foreigners is taking it out of this country. What I mean, I see foreigners taking pictures of all different islands I've been to. What I mean, the flora and the fauna.
Yeah,
you know what it's called, right?
Foreigners do that.
Because these things have medicinal values to mankind and to life. And when you're taking pictures of these things, I see it all over the place.
But that's
you know
what I
mean?
mean.
You ever see a man go out with his camera on a shopping meeting?
My brother, when you travel, you take pictures of whatever you want to take pictures with. If a country say, oh, this is this, and of course you can take picture. There's nothing wrong with that. But now, if we have all this medicinal value, when are we going to start farming it? You see, we got to take care of ourselves.
It's wild, bro, here.
So why are we not farming it if it's wild?
Okay, good. You know what I mean? Because they tend to know things that we take for granted.
Well, I agree with you, but we still got to remember, it's us who got to create ways of selling these things to the world, eh? Let's do it and not just complain about what other people doing. Let us create ways to make money out of what we got. And then we may realize that everything ain't what we think it is.
The money is being made, and it made whatever Boston.
You remember?
We need to
ask you.
stop going politics.
You've been around for a little while. You remember Ocean Key, right?
Yeah, I had uncle that died over Ocean Key.
Ocean Key was, I think, Marcona Industries or something like that. The name, the company that owned the key, their name was, I think, Marcona Industries. And you remember when Ocean Key stopped? When they stopped mining aragonite, because that's what they used to send out aragonite. We know that, right?
Okay.
They stopped mining aragonite, and they got a sale for the key. And this company that wanted to do offshore converting LNG, liquefied natural gas, and sending it to Florida. They were getting a contract, and I think at the end of the day, the contract fall in. They didn't get it no more. But they bought Ocean Key, and for no big bunch of money, because Ocean Key was already established, and they realized they could have ships coming. They were going to improve the dock. They were going to have a closed feed system and housing. They were going to really improve that place, right? But the thing is, after 2 years, they realized what they wanted to do wasn't going to happen no more. First of all, the Bahamas government didn't have legislation in place to provide for it to happen. And second of all, I think when the government in the U.S., when the president changed or something like that, that area that was going to take in the natural gas by pipeline decided they ain't going to do that no more. So AES got out, and a group of Bahamians bought the key from AES. You remember that?
Yeah.
And that group of Bahamians was supposed to get back into aragonite mining, because we say aragonite is bringing all this money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you talk to some of those owners, because I spoke with some of them, they will tell you straight and plain, we may think there's so much money in aragonite, but the reason why Marcona, who was in the business for decades, sold it is because the money wasn't being made like we think. Right? They were spending a lot of money on having equipment there, all those dredges, all those tractor and stuff to push. The dock area had to be maintained. The profit was not nowhere near. As a matter of fact, I think at some years they were making a loss. So we have to be very careful. And I hear people also talking about Morton Salt, how they're making all of this money. See, we don't know how much these people got to spend to maintain their operation, but yet we think because salt going out on these bulkers, they're making a whole heap of money.
Listen to me, Ben.
I listen.
All we need is an audit, okay? And guess what? The Bahamas need to put together an audit on all the natural resources that come out of here.
Yeah, but
listen to me.
Yeah.
And let's take upon ourselves to take what is our own from the ones that are profitable. Okay? I can see you later.
Yeah, man. You take care. Thanks for calling, as always. Ladies and gentlemen, our show is about to conclude. Boy, that was my boy from 8 Mile Rock, Freeport. Well, he really out of Lutra. He's out of what that one named South Point there. The next settlement down. Lord, I getting too old now, so I remember all these things. But we have some good conversation on these type of things. And he and I always going at it, because sometimes people have things in their head and they hear things and they just talk things. And I like things gotta make sense to me, and I gotta see things come together. I've been around a little while. I over 60 now, so I can tell you that I watch a lot of things happen, and I can tell you too that I've been on almost every. I don't think there's any facility in this country that I've not been on that dealing with commercial activities. All in Freeport Harbor. Like I say, I've been to Morton a couple times, in Inagua, and when you see what really going on in these places, you try to, and if you got real sense, you'll ask yourself, how the hell do they actually make a profit? Because the amount of the volume of stuff being shipped out compared to what all they got to be doing on the ground to make things happen. You try to figure out, boy, they don't spend up all this money. I don't know. They must make some. I don't know how they make all this money, but much money could be profit-wise based on all of this money I see them spending just to keep things going. But anyway, that's my view. And until you can bring me some facts otherwise, because this is what I see with my own eyes. But bring me some facts otherwise. That's That's going to have to be my view. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just about out of time. Thank my good producer again, Mr. Craig Gibson, for keeping things ticking on the show. I thank you, the listeners, for following. The show might have been a little dead today. Maybe we had that much calls. 2 calls, well, that was fine. I had to get some of that information out there because, you know, sometimes you just talk and discuss things, but there's no real follow-up. So we're going to have to keep bringing these things up and making sure that we could get some follow-up. I didn't get to my carbon credits the way I want to. The cruise ship ports at the Family Islands as I want to. But we got next show next week. I'll be a little more ready, a little more fire. So in the meantime, I want to also say good evening to Annie. Me see, Annie May used to listen to the show when we used to come on 7:30 to 9, but sometimes she used to get a little sleepy. Annie just get sleepy no more. Annie make her listen to Annie May, I know you're listening. So good night to you, darling, and continue to be my #1 fan. Keep it rolling. And that's how we going to keep it going on Maritime Matters. So ladies and gentlemen, again, I thank you for following our show. Our sponsors for the night's show, Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. We also got 101 Pharmacy in Nassau and Freeport, and we got the Bimini Pilots and the GBI Pilots, and those are the sponsors for the show so far. If you want to be a sponsor, please feel free to call Love 97 and let them know we want to sponsor Maritime Matters, and we will take your sponsor with pleasure. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, I say thank you very much for listening to us tonight, and as always, Maritime Matters out.
Look like nothing's gonna come my way. So